Hey guys, Coach Ranger here, walking across America. I've made my way into Amarillo, and I just wanted to do a little video about the 72-ounce steak challenge at the Big Texan. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while now. I saw, like posts and whispers about it here and there, pretty much ever since I started. And I'm pretty sure I remember seeing it when I passed through Amarillo like 10, 12 years ago when I was on a road trip with my dad and stepmom. But never done an eating challenge before. So definitely a first for me, and I figure what better time to do it than when I'm burning, 4 to 6 whatever thousand calories a day. But I've been watching a lot of content about the steak challenge, trying to get some strategies and whatnot in. But really, I guess like my concerns about it going in are of course just the size of the thing, right? 72 ounces, like 4.5 pounds of meat. Like that's no joke. That's a ton. And there's also the aspect of the all the fixins. There's the 3 cocktail shrimp, like deep fried shrimp, a side salad, a bread roll, and a baked potato. And all that needs to be eaten within an hour. And I think from what I've seen, what I've been watching, my strategy is going to be to eat all the steak first, since that's the biggest and the most difficult part. And then with the last little bit of the steak, I'm going to chop that up. I'm going to throw it into the salad to make kind of like a steak salad to make it a little bit easier to go down. And then with the cocktail shrimp, just smother that bad boy in sauce, those bad boys in sauce, throw them down the hatch. And then with the baked potato and the roll, since those are going to be more dry, I'm a little worried about those just because, having that much food in my body is going to be painful already. So I figure that I'm just going to dip them in sauce, whatever steak sauce they have, or barbecue sauce, I don't know. Worst case scenario, if they don't have sauce for whatever reason, I'm just going to put like whatever drink I have on it. Sounds kind of icky or gross, but I just really want to soften it up to make it easier going down. So that's kind of the strategy I have. I'm hoping to have the steak finished within the first 30 minutes or so that I have plenty of time for the sides. But we'll see how it goes. Keep you guys updated, and I don't know, you'll see how it went in just a few minutes. Thanks. Hey guys, Rangers of Recording Future here, doing a little bit of a voiceover for the actual challenge itself. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a play-by-play, going over to the strategy that I had, explaining what I'm doing, giving that play-by-play action. So what I'm doing right now is I am separating out the steak. The steak itself comes into 3 different sections, and what I did is I asked for a second plate.
The strategy there is to kind of separate it out so I have more room for cutting. Cutting and chewing are going to be the two most time-consuming things that I do throughout the entire challenge. It's constantly just cutting, eating, cutting, eating, cutting, eating. And something that I wasn't doing up until right then was making sure I had a piece of meat in my mouth the entire time.
Oh no, my contract.
That kind of took away a few minutes or a few seconds, I guess, from the overall challenge itself. As you notice, I just got the steak sauce in finally. And the significance of that is that it's going to help lubricate and moisten up the steak itself to make it easier to chew. If you notice throughout the challenge, the fellow sitting next to me, he was drinking his drink. I chose to basically forget that I had a drink the entire time. My concern was that I would start drinking and I wouldn't stop, and it would just fill up my stomach more than I would have liked. And I guess the main strategy right now is to eat the steak first. I definitely could have eaten the salad first. I definitely could have done the shrimp first since they're smaller, or the roll. But what I was really thinking here was knock out the big dog as soon as possible. Get that 72 ounces out of the way, because if I can get that down, I was confident that I could get the rest down no matter what. In terms of actually prepping for the challenge, I mean, I've been eating my entire life. Since day one, I've been hungry. So just really honing in on that experience, that social proof, that stack of evidence that I could eat a ton is really what carried me through this entire competition. And right here, you'll see me finishing up steak number 1, right around 8 minutes and 20 seconds to get this first steak down the hatch. And of course, I'm wasting no time jumping straight into steak number 2. And as you can see on the top of steak number 2, there is a little bit of that steak sauce, that gravy that I was brushing off the other pieces onto. And really my intention with that was to try to get the sauce soaking into it as much as possible. Again, to make sure that it maintains a little bit of moisture so it's easier to chew. And another thing that I kept in mind throughout this entire competition was that I could not let doubt seep in no matter what. There's a couple other guys that sat on the other side of the table, and almost immediately they started talking about how much it was, how they didn't realize it was going to be that big, that they weren't sure if they're going to finish. And about 15, 20 minutes into their challenge, they were already saying that they couldn't do it, that it was impossible. And I knew that if I started negotiating with myself like that, that I would lose. At one point, I did see one of the other guys look over to see where the trash can was, and I almost looked to myself, but I knew that if I let that little bit of doubt in, it would just really screw me up for the rest of the competition. And right around here, somebody mentioned good old David Goggins, so you know your boy had to go ahead and hit him with a...
They don't know me, son.
I know, he's halfway through his steak. How many rolls do you eat at sushi?
That's hard to say. I eat a lot of nigiri and sashimi. My record was 60 or 70 pieces. If that means anything.
So if 1 roll is a piece, and then 8 rolls, probably like 8. That would probably be equivalent like 7 or 8 rolls.
Okay.
I would just guess.
Yeah.
Huh?
So I don't know if you could tell during that conversation where they're asking me how much sushi I can eat at All You Can Eat, I was making numbers up. I had no absolute idea. I was just trying to have a conversation, and I just started spouting off random numbers. I've never paid attention. I've never actually kept track of how much sushi I can eat. I only go to All You Can Eat Sushi with one goal in mind, and that is to make the sushi chef go, wow, that boy put down a lot of food. I guess really my number one goal in life is to scare sushi chefs everywhere. Is that weird? Let me know in the chat.
I think I lost.
Come on, brother. Still breathing, still fighting. Come on.
Yeah, I got 6 minutes. Yeah.
And right about here is when I am finishing up steak number 2. 22 minutes in. This steak took me 13 and a half minutes to finish, whereas the first one only took me about 8.5 minutes. So an extra 5 minutes.
He's winning for sure. This guy's winning. I think I lose. I feel like I'm going to go for 5 minutes.
You want a little box, okay?
What?
Little box?
No?
Y'all need boxes or y'all okay?
And back to the play-by-play. Something that I was worried about going into the competition was making sure that I didn't eat too much before, but not to the point that I was starving myself or making my stomach shrink too much. 2 nights before, I ate 2 personal pizzas and a couple of bowls of pasta, really carb load for the walking that I was doing the next couple of days, as well as stretching out my stomach. And the day before, I had a extra large Chipotle bowl. And the morning of the competition, I only had a small plate of nachos from a coffee shop that Julie and I went to and hung out at for a little bit. But really, just in terms of the competition, again, it's just making sure that I don't let doubt into my mind, into my psyche, dab up my brother next to me really quick. And part of the shock or the hard part of the competition itself was having everybody watching you. Like, I know everybody's in their own little bubble, everybody's hanging out with their families, but it's still a little bit nerve-wracking to be watched like that.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Back to the grind. So as I'm coming up on the end, all I can think about is the next steps that I'm going to be going through. And honestly, something that I did leading up to the competition itself was I was looking into strategies that others that had finished the competition had implemented during their eating challenge. And I also kind of visualized myself doing those different tasks. Right here, as I was having more trouble chewing, having more trouble swallowing, I was cutting the steak into smaller and smaller and smaller bites to make it as easy as possible for myself to eat. And that was something that I saw somebody else do in a YouTube video that they'd posted. And again, that's just to make sure that I can get it down as much as possible. It's kind of like the more time that you're chewing, the more time that the meat's in your mouth, the more time you have to kind of regret all of your life's decisions. And that was something I didn't have time for. So I wanted to try to eliminate that as much as possible. Anyway, I'm just going to let you watch me eat for a minute. All right, now we're getting into the good stuff. So right now I'm cutting into my baked potato because I saw in another video that somebody burnt their mouth a little bit from the hot potato. So earlier on, I think right after I finished the first steak, I unwrapped it just a little bit to get the tin foil off and start letting the potato cool down. And what I'm working on right now is I mixed the last little bit of steak that I had with the lettuce. I knew just about myself that the lettuce would have a weird texture after eating, 4.5 pounds of meat. And I really wanted to try to eliminate that as much as possible. I don't know if you can kind of see my face right there, but I was like, man, this lettuce is going to suck. It was just such a shift and change in texture that I was not ready for and not expecting. And I had a really hard time with it. Just generally speaking, with the lettuce, it was also just hard to get with the fork for some reason. So I was getting a little bit frustrated. I was having a hard time, and I was trying to use the steak as much as possible to try to nail down and anchor the lettuce. And I made sure that I used as much sauce as possible without, I guess, making it overwhelming or too soupy. And it was a really good general change in taste. I think I was getting a little bit of fatigue from the sauce from the steak and the texture of the steak itself. So it was a welcome change, but I just wish that the lettuce was a different type, if that makes sense. And again, like I mentioned earlier, if you haven't noticed, not one sip of the drink that is in front of me has been taken. I knew that if I started to drink, I would start filling up my stomach with valuable real estate where shrimpies and steak and lettuce and potatoes and bread rolls should go. So I really made sure that I did not waste any space whatsoever. Here I am finishing up that final steak and the final little bit of lettuce, and that puts me right around 44 minutes into the competition. Yeah, it took me just about half an hour to eat that last steak. And now we're finally moving into the last little bits. At the very beginning, they told me that I didn't have to eat the fat of the steak or the skin of the potatoes. And what I'm doing right there is I'm taking off the skin of the potatoes. I know it's not that much, but really I didn't want to have any doubt in my mind if I had one bite left and be like, man, I shouldn't have tried to eat the skin. I shouldn't have tried to be a hero. Here I am trying to eat the last little bit of meat off of the fat pieces. Because again, I didn't want to get disqualified for something stupid. So I was trying to finish it up, get the last little bits and I guess little nuggets off of that piece of steak as much as possible. And really all I had left after that was the 3 breaded shrimp. I was going to just slather those bad boys in cocktail sauce, use the steak sauce in front of me for the bread roll, and use that same sauce for the potato. But right here is when probably the worst thing that could have happened. Right then, about 50 minutes into the eating challenge, that possibly the worst thing that could have happened, and that is my phone ran out of storage. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to capture the end of the eating challenge. It cut out right as I was finishing up the shrimp, so I was not able to record the actual end of the challenge. My learning from that is to pay attention to the storage that I have and make sure that I'm actually watching the video as I'm recording. But my other main learning is that I'm probably the baddest dude around, and I remember that my fiance was in the crowd and was recording, so I made her get up, or I asked her to. That was lightning. Paid actor, and she got up, she took the rest of the video, and here it is. Check it out.
Inspired. It looks like easy work.
It's not.
It's not. Good for you, though. Is this y'all's timers?
Yes, yeah, he's got 3 minutes, 48. He's doing pretty good.
Are you going to do it? Oh, shit. He's got 3 minutes. He's about to do it.
He's walking across the country right now. Oh, wow. Or he is. So he's passing through Amarillo and
Come on, brother.
wanted to stop and eat it all first.
Yeah. What's his name? Get it, Ranger. Oh, yeah, brother. Taking a picture of you, buddy. Please do. That's cool.
Have you done the shrimp yet? Attaboy.
It's an average Friday. You gotta make sure he swallows it all.
You're so close, you're so close.
Well, folks, I came, I saw, and I devoured. They said it couldn't be done, but here we are. In life, just like in steak, you've got to take big bites and chew them up. Remember, it's not just about finishing the meal. It's about savoring every single moment along the way. So get out there and tackle your own 72-ounce challenge. Just be sure that you save some room for desserts. And guys, as always, have fun, stay safe, be yourself, and stay hungry for adventure. I'll see you guys next time. See ya.